There are only two moments in all of American stock market history when a single number crossed a threshold so extreme that economists stopped arguing and started warning. That number has a name, the Shiller CAPE ratio, and in all the decades of data stretching back to the 1880s, it has only exceeded 40 twice. The first time was 1929. What followed was the Great Depression, an 89% collapse, unemployment at 25%, a decade of ruin that reshaped the entire global economic order completely. The second time was the year 2000, the dot-com bubble. The NASDAQ fell 78%, $5 trillion in market value, gone. It took 15 years to recover fully. In March 2026, the Shiller PE ratio hit 39.8. It wasn't some obscure hedge fund or rogue analyst sounding the alarm. The data came from Robert Shiller himself. He is the Nobel Prize-winning economist who built this very measure. The number is live. It is real. And right now, the exact same pattern is unfolding. This wasn't luck. This wasn't coincidence. Over 4 decades of research, Robert Shiller and his predecessor, Benjamin Graham, identified a 3-stage pattern that appears before every catastrophic equity market collapse. Graham called it speculative excess. Shiller called it irrational exuberance. This pattern has a name, the CAPE crash sequence. And let me show you exactly how it works. The pattern is mathematical. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. And this particular rhyme has now appeared 3 times. Stage 1 is the narrative capture. A genuinely transformative technology or economic shift emerges. It is real. It changes things. Productivity climbs. Profits rise. And then the story runs ahead of reality. Investors stop asking, how much is this worth? And start asking, how big can this get? Valuations detach from fundamentals, but nobody calls it a bubble. They call it a paradigm shift. Stage 2 is the valuation breach. The Shiller PE ratio crosses above 30, then 35, then approaches or exceeds 40. This metric is deliberately slow-moving, designed to strip out all short-term noise. When it reaches these levels, it means the market is not just optimistic. It is historically, structurally overvalued. Corporate earnings would have to grow at supernatural rates for decades just to justify current prices. Stage 3 is the trigger. A seemingly minor, often unexpected event cracks the narrative, not the fundamentals. Those were already broken, just the story. A single earnings miss, a regulatory announcement, an interest rate move, a geopolitical shock. And once the story breaks, the math reasserts itself with extraordinary violence. Every single time, without exception, across 140 years of recorded market history. But there's one element of this pattern that is even more dangerous than the others, and we'll get to that. First, let's walk through the evidence, starting with 1929. The 1920s were a genuine technological revolution. The automobile, commercial aviation, radio broadcasting, electrification. These were not imaginary innovations. They were changing American life in fundamental, measurable ways. Corporations were reporting real profits, real growth. And Wall Street, newly accessible to ordinary Americans, for the first time through brokerage accounts and buying on margin, rushed in eagerly. Stage 1 appeared clearly. The narrative was electric, literally. The economy has reached a permanently high plateau, declared economist Irving Fisher in October 1929. Not a fringe voice, a Yale professor, widely respected. The story was, this time is different. Technology has changed the rules. Investors believed it completely. Magazines celebrated it. Wall Street amplified it. And the market kept climbing on the strength of the narrative alone. Stage 2 arrived on schedule. By September 1929, the Shiller CAPE ratio had climbed to 32.6, a level never seen in the preceding 4 decades of data. Stocks were priced at 32 times their decade average earnings. The market had to assume perfect perpetual growth just to stay solvent at those prices. The math was already broken, but the story was still intact. And as long as the story held, nobody wanted to leave. Stage 3 hit on October 24th, 1929, Black Thursday. The floor of the New York Stock Exchange descended into chaos. Crowds gathered outside on Broad Street. Ticker tape fell behind. Margin calls cascaded violently. Investors who were millionaires at breakfast were bankrupt by dinner. The story broke in a single afternoon. And once it broke, there was nothing left to hold the prices up against the brutal weight of math. The outcome was total. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 89% from peak to trough over the next 3 years. U.S. GDP contracted by 30%. Unemployment reached 24.9%. 10,000 banks failed across America. It took 25 years, until 1954, for the Dow to recover its 1929 highs. Not a recession. A structural obliteration of generational wealth that scarred an entire nation for decades afterward. But it didn't stop there. The pattern appeared again in 1987. The backdrop was different. Not a technology revolution, but a financial engineering revolution. The S&P 500 had risen 44% in just 8 months. Portfolio insurance, a new automated trading strategy, had become widespread. The nothing can go wrong narrative was pervasive. Markets felt mechanical, efficient, bulletproof. The story was that computer-driven hedging had eliminated systemic risk entirely. Stage one was the belief that Wall Street had engineered away the possibility of catastrophe. Magazines ran covers celebrating the permanent bull market. Sound familiar? The technology was different. The overconfidence was identical. Stage two, the Shiller CAPE in mid-1987 reached approximately 18, not the extreme levels of 1929 or 2000, but price-to-earnings ratios on a trailing basis had reached levels unseen since before the 1929 crash. The valuation breach here was in the velocity of the move, not just the absolute level. The market was rising too fast, too far, on a story with no margin of safety built in anywhere. Stage 3 arrived on October 19, 1987. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 22.6% in a single day. A single day. $500 billion in market value evaporated in hours. The trigger? Trade deficit data and rising interest rates. And critically, the automated portfolio insurance systems that were supposed to protect investors instead amplified every sell order into a devastating cascade. The machines made it catastrophic. Keep that word in mind. Machines. We will come back to it. The outcome was a 36% peak-to-trough decline over 3 months. The Federal Reserve moved aggressively to inject liquidity. The market recovered within 2 years. But the lesson was unmistakable and permanent. The story of a risk-free, permanently upward market was a lie. And when the story broke, the automated systems that were built to protect investors instead accelerated the destruction to an almost unimaginable speed. Now the closest parallel, the one that looks most like today, 1999 to 2000, the dot-com collapse. The mirror that every investor alive right now should be studying with serious, urgent attention. The late 1990s were, like today, a moment of genuine technological transformation. The internet was real. It was changing commerce, communication, and industry. Companies like Amazon and Cisco were building genuine, lasting infrastructure. But the story ran miles ahead of the reality. Stage one was explosive. The internet will change everything. Day trading had become a mainstream hobby. Pets.com raised $82.5 million in an IPO, despite burning cash at a historic rate. NASDAQ stocks with no revenue were valued in the billions. The story was, the old valuation rules don't apply anymore. Eyeballs, not earnings. Market share, not profit. And Wall Street rewarded that story with extraordinary generosity. Stage two. By December 1999, the Shiller CAPE ratio reached 44.2, the highest reading ever recorded in American stock market history. The market was priced at 44 times its decade average inflation-adjusted earnings. For that valuation to be rational, corporate America would have had to sustain supernatural profit growth for the next 10 consecutive years. It didn't. It couldn't. No market in history has ever escaped the gravity of that mathematical reality. Stage 3, the trigger was quiet at first. The Federal Reserve raised interest rates 6 times between 1999 and 2000. In March 2000, a single Barron's article questioned the cash burn rates of major dot-com companies. Japanese tech stocks began selling off, and then the dam broke, not in a single day, but in a slow, grinding, relentless collapse that lasted 30 months and destroyed more wealth than any market event since the Great Depression itself. The outcome? The NASDAQ Composite fell 78% from its March 2000 peak to its October 2002 trough. $5 trillion in market capitalization was destroyed. Companies like Cisco lost 86% of their value and took 20 years to fully recover. The people who got destroyed in 2000 weren't stupid. They were unprepared. Nobody connected the dots to 1929 loudly enough. The CAPE ratio was screaming, and the market kept climbing anyway, until it didn't. Before we arrive at today, one more example, one that most American investors have never studied carefully enough. Japan in 1989, the world's economic miracle, and the world's most devastating valuation collapse. The Nikkei 225 had risen 900% over the 1980s. Japanese corporations owned American real estate and cultural institutions. Japan was going to overtake the United States economically. That was the serious consensus view in 1988. Stage one was national invincibility. Books were written. Harvard Business School courses were built. The story was, Japan has figured out something we haven't. The narrative was so powerful, it became self-reinforcing on a massive, systemic scale. Stage two, the Japanese equivalent of the Shiller CAPE ratio, reached an estimated 70 to 80 by late 1989, 70 to 80. The entire land under the Imperial Palace theoretically worth more than all of California. Stage 3, the Bank of Japan raised interest rates 5 times between 1989 and 1990. Monetary tightening met a valuation that had absolutely no margin of safety. The trigger was almost mundane. The outcome was civilizational. The Nikkei peaked at 38,957 on December 29, 1989. It did not recover to that level for 34 years. 34 years. An entire generation of Japanese investors never recovered their purchasing power, not a crash. A permanent restructuring of national wealth. According to the Bank of Japan's own historical records, the total wealth destruction exceeded $15 trillion in today's adjusted terms. Japan's lost decade became the lost 3 decades. And it started with a single number crossing an unsustainable threshold. This is where the pattern becomes clear. Stage 1, Stage 2, Stage 3. Every time, every cycle. The same sequence, the same mathematical outcome. Now let's fast forward to today. Now here's where it gets disturbing. Every single stage of this pattern is present today. Not theoretically, not partially, every stage, simultaneously. Right now as I'm recording this, Stage 1, the narrative capture, is artificial intelligence. The narrative is real. AI is genuinely transformative. Large language models, autonomous systems, AI-driven drug discovery, these are not imaginary. They are changing productivity curves measurably. But the story has once again run miles ahead of the measurable earnings reality. In November 2025, NPR ran the headline, "Is an AI bubble brewing?" The answer by that point was no longer a hypothetical question. According to Morningstar data published in early 2026, the S&P 500 was trading at a 14.4% premium to its 10-year average forward price-to-earnings ratio. The market was not just optimistic, it was structurally expensive by its own historical standards. And the concentration risk is extraordinary. Right now, 7 companies, Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, Alphabet, Meta, and Tesla, account for a disproportionate share of the S&P 500's total market capitalization. These magnificent 7 stocks collectively carry valuations that would require sustained, extraordinary earnings growth to justify. According to multiple financial research firms in early 2026, the math only works if everything goes perfectly. It never does. Sound familiar? In 1999, it was Cisco, Intel, and Microsoft. Today, it's Nvidia, Microsoft, and Apple. Different logos, same mathematical pressure, same concentration of systemic risk, and a handful of overvalued names. Stage 2, the valuation breach. As of early March 2026, according to data tracked by AI Invest, Seeking Alpha, and Business Insider, the Shiller CAPE ratio for the S&P 500 stands at 39.8. Let that land. In the entire history of American equity markets, 140 plus years of data, this ratio has only exceeded 40 twice, 1929 and 2000. Both times, catastrophic collapse followed within months to years. The parallels are mathematical. The same measure, the same threshold, the same historical precedent. Only the technology narrative has changed. The underlying valuation mathematics are identical to both prior collapse events. According to Federal Reserve data and Congressional Budget Office projections, U.S. federal debt stands at $35 trillion, a figure that creates an entirely different backstop environment than existed in 1929 or 2000. The government's ability to simply absorb a financial crisis through deficit spending is now structurally constrained in ways it has never been in modern American history. The safety net that caught prior collapses is now frayed. This isn't just about markets. It's about your retirement account, your 401k. The index funds that most Americans have been told are safe because they're diversified. They are diversified into the same overvalued mega-cap technology stocks. Stage 3, the trigger, is already loading. The trigger in 1929 was margin calls and a Federal Reserve that tightened into a fragile market. In 2000, it was interest rate hikes meeting unsustainable cash burn. In Japan, it was monetary tightening. Today, the Federal Reserve has been navigating a delicate balance between inflation control and growth support. Interest rates remain elevated relative to the post-2008 era. The AI earnings cycle has yet to produce the revenue justification the market has already priced in. And the machines, remember that word from 1987, are now everywhere. Algorithmic trading accounts for an estimated 60 to 73% of all daily equity volume, according to multiple industry analyses published in 2025 and 2026. When the story breaks, there will be no human hand on the sell button. The cascade will be automated, faster than 1987, more connected than 2000, and hitting a market carrying more concentrated valuation risk than any point in modern history. The same signals that preceded 1929, 2000, and Japan's lost decades are present simultaneously. Your dollars, your savings, your future. And the trigger event today is already loading. Here is what the pattern says. Based on the historical behavior of the Shiller CAPE ratio, at these extreme levels, equity markets are operating inside a window of maximum danger right now. The question is not whether a violent reversion occurs. Valuations at these levels have never, in 140 years of data, sustained themselves. The question is only when and how far. The historical reversion from a CAPE above 40 has averaged a 40 to 50% decline. In 2000, from a CAPE of 44, it was 49%. From 1929's 32.6, it was 89%. If current levels revert to their long-term mean CAPE of approximately 17, the implied downside is staggering. The window most consistent with historical patterns, 2026 to 2029. That is not a prediction of a specific crash date. It is a statement of historical probability drawn from 140 years of unbroken market data. At some point in that window, the AI narrative will meet an earnings reality check. The Federal Reserve will face a choice between supporting growth and controlling inflation. A geopolitical shock, a major corporate earnings miss from one of the Magnificent Seven, a credit event, any could be the trigger. Your dollars, your savings, your future. The people who got destroyed in 1929 weren't stupid. They were unprepared. The investors who lost everything in 2000 weren't reckless. They were trusting a story that sounded right. Nobody warned them clearly enough. Nobody connected the numbers to the historical precedent with enough force. Nobody will warn you either. Not loudly enough, not in time. That is the lesson every single cycle teaches. And every cycle it is forgotten. This is educational content, not financial advice. But the pattern is clear. The CAPE ratio is not a feeling or an opinion. It is 140 years of measured market history. And it is currently flashing the same warning it flashed in 1929 and 2000. 5 stages of collapse. 4 are already visible. Only the trigger remains. History never asks permission. It just repeats.